So, another year, another tier list. Yo, what's up everybody? This is Junior Chicken here with the BattleBots Season 7 tier list. As you can see this year, I am decked out in BattleBots gear representing my favorite bot, Rotator. I've also got Mo and Deb BattleBots gear as well, so you might get to see them on camera wearing that, but let's cut to the chase. As you know, I will be ranking each of the BattleBots competitors for this season in a tier list, rating them based on how well I think they will do this season. This will be based on my experience watching these bots in past seasons, especially last season, since I consider their most recent progress the most important. I'm going into this mostly blind, since I haven't even looked at all the participants yet. So yeah, this is what my tier list is going to look like. Of course, F tier, these are the bots that just suck. I'm not even sure why they're in the competition. D, we're getting to bots that aren't very good. I guess sometimes they can impress us, but most of the time not. C tier is the okay bots, bots that do alright, not anything special though. Next up is B tier, which are the decent bots. They know how to hold their own every now and then. They can get the odd knockout and go the distance. A tier, we're getting to the well-established bots. They can definitely get knockouts, go the distance. We expect them to definitely be in the top 32. Pretty solid bots all around. And then S is the GOATs, the best bots in the competition. They are definitely in the running for the giant nut, and we expect them to get a pretty high seed when it comes to the tournament run. Well, yeah, let's start off with Banshee. Oh, it's a really cool looking lifter. Yeah, it's got a horror-esque theme to it, and I know it's got an interesting front configuration, fairly unique. Not quite like Blip or Hydra. Definitely a pretty unique looking lifter compared to the others. Of course, with it being a new bot, it's going in the C tier. That's another clarification I should put out. All the new bots go to the C tier, so they get a fair assessment. It's C tier, but still looks to be a pretty solid bot. Next up is Beta. I got a big bone to pick with this one, as you can probably tell. I think I've mentioned this before, but Beta came back in 2020 after a hiatus since 2016 with a redesigned bot with a more powerful hammer they were bragging up. Their first fight was against Rotator. They were bragging about how because Rotator had its cutter on the top for this fight, they were going to easily break it. But they didn't fire their weapon once. They had the head of their hammer break off thanks to Rotator, yet they still won the fight based on control alone. Yeah, it's a pretty controversial fight, and I'm definitely on the side of the people who believe that Rotator got robbed. Call me biased, but Beta would eventually get to show off its hammer against Rusty and Grabot. But then it enters the top 32 and gets completely owned by Ribbot. It's like... It also had its own bounty, but lost to Lockjaw. I did not see that fight, so I don't know how bad of a loss it was, but yeah, it definitely feels like Beta still has a lot to prove to me. So, I'm gonna put it in the C tier to give it a fair shot, but yeah, still got a sour taste in my mouth, to be honest. Big Dill. Looks like the team's got some new uniforms this time. Emmanuel Carrilla is still the team leader, repping people with disabilities and BattleBots. Gotta rate that. And wow, it looks like they got a spinner on the front, taking a little page out of Whiplash, even though Whiplash doesn't use a spinner anymore. And yeah, it looks like, yeah, they got a kind of a opposite configuration of Whiplash now that I think about it. But yeah, I feel like I still need to see a lot from Big Deal because it didn't really appear much last year. It showed up during one of the Sin City Slugfests in the BattleBots Champions series, but lost pretty badly to Bloodsport. Then Big Deal appeared in 2 Vengeance to Vegas fights. The first one was against Blip, which wasn't a fair fight at all because Blip is just really good, got owned easily. And then it went up against Overhaul in this weird chair fight, which I don't really count. It was a pretty silly fight. I'm not even sure why Big Dill lost that fight. I honestly thought it should have won, but I still feel like I need to see more from this bot, so definitely a C tier bot. Hopefully he'll get to really shine this season with that new spinner. Next up is Black Dragon, one of the Brazilian teams in the sport. And they got a woman on the team, which is really nice to see. But yeah, it's looking like it has an even cooler design now, but not much has changed, except they do have a new captain. They seem to change captains a lot, Team Black Dragon. It's Julio Cortez. Okay. Hopefully he does a good job. But yeah, Black Dragon, definitely a prominent bot in this sport. Did really well last season too. Lost in the regular season to Rotator, but it was a pretty tough fight still. They really gave it to Rotator and made him earn that victory. Fortunately, couldn't stand a chance against Hydra in the top 16, but once again, it's Hydra, one of the best out there. It did do pretty well in the Sin City Slugfest, but ended up losing out to Whiplash. Couldn't quite make it to Witch Doctor, but once again, Whiplash is really good, so it's really powerful bot. Desperado champion of 2019, took out Tombstone 2020, made it all the way to the semifinals in Season 5, which is a pretty big accomplishment to me. So yeah, definitely an A-tier bot, if anything. Black Dragon's pretty awesome. Blip, my favorite newcomer in Season 6. I feel bad now that I've missed out that this bot was made by Aaron Hill in the beginning, because this is definitely Seems Reasonable's second best bot they've ever made, their best being Tantrum. But yeah, it had an excellent season with like a 6-1 lifetime right out the gate. It was taking on really tough bots too. Lockjaw, Valkyrie, Jackpot. Only loss it's had is against Hydra. But yeah, it's a great flipper. It's got those piano key wedges, allowing it to get low ground, and a really interesting flipper design. That's why it won the Grand Imahara Award for Season 6. And yeah, Aaron Hill's a great builder and driver, and I really do expect a lot of greatness from Blip this year. So even though it is still fairly new, A tier, definitely. Bloodsport's looking wham! Look at that cool motor on the top, or cover, or whatever it is. They also got a bit of a different self-rider here. And it looks like Aaron Lucas has returned to the team, so I guess Retrograde's no longer in the competition. I could be speaking too soon, but yeah. They got even sicker uniforms this time around, too. But yeah, Bloodsport, a pretty solid bot all around. Even with this new top design, I still think, you know, it's not too big of a redesign. It's a pretty solid horizontal spinner. It's just kind of struggles against tougher opponents at times. In the top 32, it faced off against Minotaur and made the distance, but lost. Fair enough. It did take some heavy damage to the weapon, and it did really well in the Sin City Slugfest. Got 2 really quick knockouts against Big Dill and Blade, and had a pretty tough fight against Blacksmith, but still came out victorious. And unfortunately could not get past the gatekeeper Skorpios, but still put a pretty good fight up regardless. Yeah, it did lose out to Riptide in the Vengeance to Vegas, but still did put up a decent fight. So yeah, I don't know if it's quite A tier yet, but B tier definitely, it goes there pretty comfortably. Captain Shrederator. Ah, boy. What do I have to say about Captain Shrederator? It takes L's, but it took out Tombstone. I still can't believe that actually happened. It went up against Tombstone and won. And it was a big win too. Like, Tombstone was lit ablaze. And then it won against Jaeger too. So I guess that counts, but just got knocked out right away by Gigabyte. Couldn't stand a chance against Rotator. Then in the Sin City Slugfest, it fought against Ghost Raptor. Took off the weapon and set Ghost Raptor in flames, but Ghost Raptor still won, mainly due to probably control and aggression, and then couldn't stand a chance against Huge in Vengeance to Vegas. But yeah. But the fact it beats Tombstone. It beat Tombstone. That's just ridiculous. So, I guess D tier? I guess I'll put him in D tier. I guess that's That's what we're gonna end up doing. Now, Claw Viper is okay, I guess. I haven't really seen it as too impressive of a grappler. I mean, it looks cool. It's well armored, has a very strong grappler, but it hasn't really won that much. I think it did beat, pardon my French, but pardon my French honestly isn't that good. And then it did beat Defender as well. And Defender's actually okay bot. Fortunately, he got torn up by Mad Catter after that, but I guess it did beat 2 rookies, so I guess C tier is a fair placement for this bot. Next up, we got Cobalt, and it looks like Sam Molds has come back. So we've got John Malatnik and Dave Molds running Cobalt. Why'd they Photoshop Brett Riker into the background here? Feels bad, man. Looks like these 2 captains are gonna be hopefully doing a good job running Cobalt. Although, it's going to be kind of disappointing not to see Matt Maxim driving it. But yeah, in my last tier list, I admittedly put Cobalt pretty low because I hadn't seen much of its success, honestly. In fact, I went back and I actually watched the fight it had against Duck, and it was killing it until it got stuck in the BattleBots floor, which is disappointing to see. But yeah, it really blew my mind last season. It just completely dismembered Ghost Raptor, completely brutalized Gruff, smashed up Yeti, even got a win against Whiplash, which is a big deal because Whiplash is pretty good, even though the win, the way it ended was very disappointing. Like, both bots got stuck and they couldn't get the bots pulling them apart because Cobalt's weapon just kept going, so they didn't want to risk the health of or the safety of their own workers, you know? So yeah, and unfortunately it couldn't really stand a chance against Tantrum, but it did smash up, pardon my French, in Vengeance to Vegas, and I'm surprised it didn't compete at all in the Sin City Slugfest. It went done excellent there. Cobalt is a beast, and A tier worthy, definitely. I've learned from my mistakes now, and I expect a lot from this dual citizenship bot. Copperhead! Wait, is the team wow, Black Dragon's not the only one that has the team totally changed. Where's Robert and Kimberly Cowan? Where's Zach Goff? Luke Quintal, okay. He's the new captain. I hope I guess this won't matter too much. I mean, Copperhead is still a solid bot. I definitely had some skepticism, especially when it lost to Mammoth in the championship run in 2020, despite having an undefeated season. But then it came back, beat Fusion pretty good, had a pretty solid fight against Lockjaw, even though why it did it end in a split decision, I have no idea. Had a pretty solid fight against Lucky, but unfortunately couldn't stand a chance against Witch Doctor. But that's Witch Doctor, so I'm not going to hold it too much against Copperhead. But it's still a really solid bot. It's a powerful weapon that just keeps going. And yeah, it may not have the best traction when it comes to driving, but one of the most solid bots out there. So I gotta give it an A tier. Oh yes, looks like we got some really good competition. DeathRoll's back. Oh yes, DeathRoll's back. Finally something to give like endgame a competition here. Oh my goodness. Like, this thing was brutal in Season 4. Gone undefeated, just blazed through the championship run, could only be stopped by Witch Doctor, and even then, it was just a brutal fight. Witch Doctor almost lost. That was how close it was. Like, DeathRoll is a beast, and I don't think much has changed when it's coming back now. The Self-Rider arm looks a lot better, of course, aesthetically, but it's still got the protected wheels and that deadly vertical spinner. I am just really happy to see this bot return. S tier. Let's see this bot really shake up the competition now. Doom. Okay, this is definitely a newcomer because I've never seen this bot before. Yeah, rookie. Builder Alejandro Pina. Not heard that name before. But yeah, it looks like a swinging hammer arm spinner. It's like a cross between Beta and... It looks kind of like what Blacksmith... Like an extreme weapon version of Blacksmith in a way. It probably doesn't have a flamethrower, though. It's like Switchback, kinda, but the weapon is way more powerful and is heavily armored, too, so this is gonna be an interesting one. Although, maybe some bots could crawl up the armor and end up getting to that exposed belt, or exposed belts, which could be a problem. But yeah, this is looking like a sick bot. Doom. Yeah, definitely named after a video game, but yeah, C tier for now. Wait, where is it? Is it not even on this tier list? That's a mistake. I don't even see it here. Well, it's in C tier because it's a new bot. Maybe it just came out and they've forgotten to update this. Looking sick though. Doomba. Okay, we got another bot with a similar name. Although she looks familiar. He looks familiar. It's an undercutter with a chainsaw on top. It's a really weird one, but yeah, I like this aesthetic. It's pretty fun. The big googly eyes is supposed to look like a Roomba with 2 weapons on it. It's gonna be interesting to see how this works, because it's weird just to have like just a industrial chainsaw attached to your bot when you're supposed to have your own kind of created weapon. But yeah, it's an interesting bot regardless. Double tap. These people looking like Secret Service men in this team, or airline security guards. And it looks like those arms pivot too or something. Yeah, this is an interesting but yet weird looking horizontal spinner. Huh. I'm interested to see what it's going to be like, but jeez. Definitely looks kind of menacing. Dragon King. I think I've seen this in a thumbnail for a video, but okay. So it's got 2 attack saws on it, treads, tank treads, and some sort of small grappler in the shape of a dragon's head. I mean, it looks interesting enough. I mean, it might do well. Who knows? It's interesting to see how this bot's gonna work. I bet these attack saws probably have the speed of like Sawblaze. And this one's not in the tier list either yet. Okay. Strange enough. Okay. Emulsifier. Another new one. This guy. Oh, wait. Adam Wrigley. Adam Wrigley's on this. And is this a new bot they're doing? Is Shatter no more? So weird. The team behind Shatter's moving on to this bot. I could be wrong. We might run into Shatter later, but it's basically, you know, typical wedge to vertical spinner. It's got tank tracks, kinda. I mean, it should be interesting bot to see in the competition. Endgame. S tier. Don't need to say a damn thing else. This thing only lost to Minotaur in the top 16. And it would have definitely won the Giant Nut if it hadn't lost. Because it ended up winning the Golden Bolts against Tantrum and Witch Doctor. So, yeah. I don't think I need to say anything else. Endgame is just way too good. Literally the only competition it has is DeathRoll at this moment. Free shipping looks like it's got a redesign. Interesting. So are those forks going to like flip now? Because usually with free shipping it's a lifter, the arm's like a forklift. But now the forks, I don't know how they're going to function with this. Are they both lift at the same time? It's interesting. I definitely now have to put this in C tier because it's a new weapon design. But yeah. I don't expect this to be more than just a showmanship bot, especially since it looks like the hoses, the hydraulic hoses for the lifter are exposed, which could be a problem. But yeah, it's interesting to see how Gary Jin manages this design. Fusion. Okay. This is a Team Waiachi bot, so I have to give it some respect, but Fusion has just not been doing good. It did win against Cobalt, but that's, I think, mainly because Matt Maxim was just starting to drive Cobalt, and didn't really know how to handle it that well. But yeah, it's just had mechanical issues constantly. I mean, it did okay in 2020, if I remember correctly. Okay, Rampage, Aegis, and War Z. Those are all very poor bots. So yeah, I still don't see Fusion doing a lot here. I guess C tier, just cause it, you know, it did have an okay start. It can do well against pretty weak bots, but no, I'm just gonna go D tier. I don't have a lot of faith in Fusion, even with the Waiachi name attached to it, unfortunately. Pains me to say that too, because I really do believe Resort is doing his best with this bot. And it's cool to have 2 different spinner weapons on your bot, but if it's running into problems all the time, it doesn't help. Next up is Gigabyte. John Malatnik, and I think they photoshopped Brett Riker in again. But yeah, it looks like he has 2 new people running the bot if he's just kind of standing behind them. That's not the best thing you can Photoshop in either. Ooh, that's a funny looking Self-Rider. Yeah, still the full body spinner we know and love. Probably the best in the game. Yeah, it looks like he's got 2 new captains running it. Derek Tran and Camden Walrath. I hope these guys do well. I still think that Gigabyte is a solid bot. Definitely deserved to be a gatekeeper. It just, you know, had some tough competition here and there. It lost to Uppercut, and Uppercut's pretty good. Lost out to Tantrum, who's ended up being the champ, and then in the Sin City Slugfest, where it was the gatekeeper, lost out to HyperShock, but HyperShock was just excellent during that whole Slugfest. It's still got some great prominence behind it, being the bounty winner against Son of Waiachi and all that, so it's definitely still an A-tier bot. Just makes it into that tier. Glitch, the big newcomer of Season 6. Kyle Miller is probably just like completely surprised he's in this position right now, because his bot just happens to be really, really good. Even with the few issues it's had with like driving and all that, it just has a really good weapon, very solid armor. It's just 7-1 record. Yes, it did end up having weapon difficulties, which prevented it from going into the tournament run in Season 6, but came out undefeated against Hydra, destroyed Rotator, which is painful for me to say. The only bot that's been able to take it down so far is Witch Doctor. Though it's new, I don't think it's S tier. It's definitely A tier, though. Definitely an A tier bot. It's had some pretty significant wins. I don't know if it's quite S tier yet. It's definitely A tier, though. Gruff. Unfortunately, Gruff just had a really rough last season. The only win it was able to get was against Switchback. Even in the Sin City Slugfest, when it was up against Glitch, it really couldn't do anything, even with Glitch's driving problems. It got flipped over twice. Like, I want to like this bot. Like, it's a solid lifter, and it's got one of the most powerful flamethrowers out there. And it's a tank. It's one of the most durable bots out there, but couldn't stand up against Cobalt or Hydra, or... I don't want to ignore the prominence it's had in some of the previous years it's been in BattleBots, because it did debut in 2019. It's going to have to go in the C tier for now, just because it needs to get better. HiJinx. HiJinx, I actually think it's going to blow our expectations a little this next season. And I'm mainly going off of its most recent fight against Whiplash, where its new tail actually did a pretty good job getting Whiplash top-centered so they could use their weapon against it. But, of course, you're going up against Whiplash. It's eventually going to find a way to get to your weapon, try to jam it. But yeah, just from that performance alone, I think HiJinx might be able to pull off some good feats with its new tail. Of course, it did lose once to Mammoth during the regular season, but did pretty well in its other fights against Kraken and Sub-Zero. I'm going to put it in the C tier, but yeah, I definitely think it might blow some expectations this season. Horizon. Okay, this is an interesting one. Yeah, it's a big spinning arm with 2 spinning cutters. This is going to be an interesting one to see, definitely. I actually want to see what kind of work this bot can do. Like, it's just a really interesting design. If this wins the Grant Imahara award for this season, I won't be surprised at all. I'm not sure what this big crescent at the top means. It's going to be an interesting bot. huge. Yeah, another bot that had a tough last season. It did win against 2 rookies and Captain Shrederator in the Vengeance to Vegas, so I'll give credit to it for that, but humiliated by Riptide. It got its wheels stuck in the screws and couldn't get out. Then had a simultaneous knockout against Uppercut in the top 32, which doesn't look too good on Uppercut either, but still, I'm not sure if this is an older picture or they did decide to go back to the UHMW wheels, because they were using Integris for a while. And those wheels didn't fare well against Deep 6. That's another loss. But yeah, it's still a good bot. It did beat Captain Shrederator, as well as Switchback and Retrograde. And Retrograde had a really good knockout too. I guess it's still a B tier bot. It just barely makes it in the B tier though. Alright, Hydra. Hydra. Everyone hates Jake Ewart, but everyone loves Hydra. He has to post in a cocky way too for his team leader picture. But yeah, Hydra. It started off with a rough start. It lost to Endgame pretty humiliatingly. Like, we were expecting it to be like a really awesome main event opener, but it was anticlimactic as hell. End up losing again to Glitch, which was pretty bad. But then comes into the play-in match for the 31st seed, puts in a new frame, and it instantly gets its groove back. Takes down Defender, then Ribbot, then Black Dragon, then Blip, only to lose out to Tantrum in a pretty controversial fight. I do think Tantrum won that fight, but a lot of people disagree because, you know, Hydra was still getting more flips off, and I guess the armor damage, you don't know how much that really counts for. Like, Hydra is still a great bot, hands down. Had an undefeated regular season in its debut, only lost out to Minotaur in the top 16, lost out to Whiplash in the quarterfinals in 2020, then in season 6 lost out to Tantrum in the semifinals. It's still a really good bot. It's like the best lifter out there. Not to say it's undefeated, we have seen really good drivers eventually win against it, but it's still an S tier bot. Jake Ewart is just too good. He's gonna remain the villain of BattleBots until someone really takes him down. HyperShock. What's with the new jackets? I'm kinda questioning exactly where this bot's gonna fall. It's an amazing bot. I've said before, HyperShock is underrated. HyperShock is definitely more than worthy of being in this competition, and we saw that during the Sin City Slugfest. Held it against Duck. Tore the weapon right off of Valkyrie. Smashed up Mad Catter. Split Gigabyte into 2 pieces. Threw Skorpios out of the arena when it initially thought it couldn't get under the plow. And even when it lost to Witch Doctor, it still held its own. Got its wheel jammed in Witch Doctor's weapon, kept itself pointed, and didn't go down easy at all. Yes, it did lose to P1, embarrassingly, in the top 32. It did win that whole Remars All-Stars tournament in 2022. This might determine where HyperShock looks up. I'm gonna look up the actual wiki for it. This might determine everything. Oh my god, it actually did beat Hydra. It beat Tombstone, then Blip, then Hydra to win the Remars All-Stars tournament. Oh my god. I know this is like completely left field kinda, because it's not like televised or anything. But yeah, I knew it won, but not in this path. So it beat some real... Okay, yes. Okay, HyperShock is S tier. HyperShock is now S tier. Ridiculous, I know, but yeah, that's the way the cookie crumbles, apparently. Next up is Jackpot. Oh, they got lifters now for their forks. That's going to be interesting to see how those work. I wouldn't say it's a total redesign, though. Of course, Jackpot is still a pretty solid bot. Basically my favorite newcomer in Season 5. And it's a bot on a budget. And it's been able to prove itself against the big leagues. Stood its own against Tombstone. Unfortunately, couldn't win against Blip or Riptide. And I just saw that it had a grunge match against Malice, so I need to look up who won that. Okay, Malice won that, so couldn't beat the rematch against Malice. I still think it's a B tier bot. Let's put it in the B tier. It's still a pretty solid bot. Kraken is back! This is kind of a surprise to me because honestly, I think we all thought it was going to retire after the Cincy Slugfest where it lost to Blade. You saw Matt Spurs was in tears, saying it was the end of Kraken, and we all thought it was going to be gone, but it's back! It's automatically C tier because it looks like it's a completely new like weapon design, but yeah! It's got a spinner instead of a grappler, which is going to be interesting to see. So it's an attack saw, kind of like Sawblaze, which is kind of fitting because Matt Spurs and Jameson Go are comrades. And Narwhal's back, of course, as well, the mini bot. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this new Kraken works. So I'm definitely going to put this in C tier since it's a fresh design, but yeah. I definitely want to see what this new Kraken can do. Lockjaw. Lockjaw. Wait. It looks like they're holding two mini-bots. They got Screwjob here and Spitfire from just Sub-Zero over here. So is Sub-Zero no longer happening? Logan Davis, the guy who commanded Sub-Zero's on this team now. So is Sub-Zero no more? Surprising. They showed Donald Hudson first before Lockjaw. And Lockjaw looks like that's a new wedge configuration or some sort. We're a wedge fork combo for Lockjaw's front. But yeah, Lockjaw is a great bot. Won the 2018 Desperado tournament. Won the bounty against Beta. But unfortunately, in 2021, it didn't do so well. Losing to Copperhead, which was a split decision for some reason. Got knocked out of the arena by HyperShock, and then end up losing to Blip. And then even as the gatekeeper, it ended up losing to Ribbot pretty quickly because its wheels got chewed up. Dad is definitely not going to like that it's kept the wheels. I want to give this bot some respect. Donald Hudson is such a prolific and well-established builder in the industry, been doing it for over 25 years. And Lockjaw does have a great reputation, but with an unvictorious record from last season, it's unfortunately dropped definitely to B tier. Next up, we got Lucky. Now they're looking real Canadian. They got hockey jerseys on, which is nice to see. It's kind of a weird one for me. I want to respect it because it's Canadian, and I see Matt Olson's back, so I have a lot of faith in him being behind the wheel. But Lucky, his season was definitely a mixed bag. Fortunately, kind of threw its match against Tantrum. Could have maybe won if it hadn't knocked Tantrum off the wall, but then again, Tantrum was rocking a bit due to the momentum of its spinner, so... But then it beat Blade easily enough, beat Mammoth easily enough, was able to make it the distance against Copperhead, even though its weapon got chewed up and was basically unusable at that point. But then it easily got taken out by Switchback in the Cincy Slugfest. 2 hits from Switchback, and Lucky was out cold. I was baffled. And then its fight in the Vengeance to Vegas against P1, that was boring as hell. Nothing happened for like 2 good minutes. And then eventually Lucky got a good flip off and took down P1. But yeah, I guess it's a C tier bot. It's a C tier bot. I think with Matt Olson behind the wheel, it's definitely gonna help. Yeah, I'll put it C tier. I think that's fair. Mad Catter. Martin Mason's got an even bigger team of college students this go around. Wow, they love changing the design of Mad Catter's armor. This one looks pretty creepy though. You can see the Cheshire Cat smile and like the uneven asymmetrical configuration. I mean, it had a really solid year last year. Knocked out Rampage with no issue. Took down Yeti. Unfortunately, couldn't stand a chance against Sawblaze, but had a pretty tough fight against Black Dragon despite losing. Went into the Cincy Slugfest and did pretty good. Fortunately got smashed up against HyperShock, but HyperShock was excellent in that Cincy Slugfest, so I guess I can give it some slack. I don't know if we can take this bot completely seriously, but it's definitely a good bot. And Martin Mason's a great character. He's got a great team of college students behind him. This bot is definitely B tier. Malice. Okay, now this is something interesting to see here. Forks. Malice has got forks. Now I'm wondering how useful those are going to be for low ground. They might be decent. But yeah, Malice, still a fairly solid bot. I mean, we just saw that it did win its rematch against Jackpot, even though it lost pretty badly in the regular season of Season 6. It unfortunately just had some tough competition. You know, it went up against Tantrum and Skorpios and Ribbot. They're pretty tough. I definitely don't want to sleep on this bot. I still think it's got some good potential. It's got a solid weapon, and with those new forks, it might actually be able to do something with it. And it now has something in the back, so it doesn't get stuck on its back like it did it twice in 2020. So, yeah, definitely still B tier, but hopefully it can keep that. Mammoth, on the other hand, I don't know about this bot. I understand the idea of trying to go for a unique design, but that can only get you so far. The spinner is mainly more for pushing power rather than damage, and didn't do very well last year. Yes, it did get one win in, that being against HiJinx, but then lost to Tombstone in a simultaneous knockout, which I will give it some credit. The fact that it was able to force Tombstone to knock out itself meant something, but then it lost to Lucky pretty badly. Yes, it didn't stand a chance against Witch Doctor, but I'm not going to count that too much because Witch Doctor's amazing. Lost to Retrograde in the Sin City Slugfest, then lost to Rampage in the Vengeance to Vegas series. Yeah, this bot is just looking to be more like a gimmick rather than anything that's actually, you know, competent. Like, I wanted to give it a fair shot, especially since it somehow won against Copperhead in the top 32 in Season 5, but I'm sorry, Ricky Williams. I'm going to have to put you in the C tier. Alright, Minotaur. Looks like they got their old captain back. Marco Antonio Magiralaga.
You definitely butchered that.
Yeah, he's back. This captain's back, running Minotaur. And, of course, we got Daniel Freitas, one of the best drivers out there. So, yeah, Minotaur. I don't think I really have to say much. A tier. It was one of the only bots that could beat Endgame. Unfortunately, it lost to Witch Doctor pretty badly, but they've been part of this competition for a long time. We're the runner-ups in 2018. So yeah, definitely A tier bot. Monsoon is back! Alright. Looks like they got a more solid weapon this go around, but they got the double fork configuration, so on either side it can use low ground, so that's interesting. I mean, Monsoon did pretty well in 2019. Didn't do the best. There were some times where the weapon durability was a problem, but let me just be reminded of its record real quick. Tom Brewster has a pretty killer bot here. Yeah, it carried Ragnarok through a fight against Mad Catter and Kronos. I mean, it had its solid record in 2018, so it's had a 2-season hiatus, so that might be a problem. But I think Monsoon is definitely worth a B tier ranking. It's got a more solid weapon this go around, and with low ground being important, those forks should definitely come into good use. Ominous. I'm not sure if this is a new bot or not. Okay, it is. But yeah, it looks kind of like your standard vertical spinner, but looks like it's got like a 3-wheel configuration instead of 4, because there's one in the back here. Huh. Is it sideways? Yeah, that's a weird... Is this like an omni-wheel configuration? Huh. This is going to be an interesting one to see for sure. But yeah, C tier for now. Alright, Overhaul. I want to give Charles Guan some respect. Now, he's been in this industry for a while. And this is kind of a solid grappler bot. Has ability to suplex. It did put up a pretty good fight in the Sin City Slugfest against Black Dragon, but even then it's still lost, and hasn't really been able to put up any other good fights throughout the season. And yet, no, I'm not counting its Vengeance the Vegas fight with Big Dill with the chairs. That was so silly. But yeah, like, it hasn't had very impressive records. Like, guess I'll just keep it in the D tier for now, since I want to believe it is a solid bot. Quantum is back. We're having a lot of returnees here. Quantum made a big impact in 2019 with its piercing grappler. It's a unique grappler in that it actually can pierce through armor. We saw this, I think it was the first fight it had with Blacksmith. It actually got stuck in the bot. I'm not sure if that caused the loss or not, but yeah, it beat Blacksmith, was able to cause a fire within Duck and win against that. Won against Valkyrie in its do or die match, but unfortunately couldn't stand up to Tombstone or Lockjaw or DeathRoll, but those guys are pretty solid. So once again, it's been a 2-season hiatus for this bot, so we don't know for sure if it's going to hold up. We've seen how hiatuses can really hurt bots like Ice Wave, but I think it's another B tier bot. I think it will do a decent job. It's a piercing grappler, which might turn out to be very effective. Ribbot. Now, Ribbot, I'm actually quite impressed with. It's had a pretty good glow up since Season 5, I would say. Season 6, it really got to shine. Its undefeated record in the regular season was against less than impressive bots. Yeah, it did take down Overhaul pretty easily, as well as Defender and P1. It was able to knock it out just before the fight ended. But unfortunately, it ended up going against Hydra in the top 32 and lost pretty badly. Its wheels got flimsy. But then, Sin City Slugfest made a big comeback. Beat Lockjaw, no problem. Was able to stand up to the devastation of Deep 6, who unfortunately is not in this year, but it's got the modular configuration so it can adapt to any situation. Usually it goes with the undercutter spinner, but sometimes we'll use a vertical spinner with a plow. And it likes to copy its opponents, which is always fun showmanship to watch. And yeah, unfortunately when it entered the field of champions it couldn't stand up to endgame, but that's because it's endgame. But yeah, Ribbot had a solid glow up, and I would say it's even better than Uppercut. So, A tier, definitely. RIPperoni. It's interesting they actually decided to take a common phrase in pop culture and use it as a funny way to describe your bot. But, oh, so we got a female bot builder. Awesome. It's a bot with a big spinner in the shape of a pizza. It's only got one wedge. I mean, it's gonna be an interesting. Pepperoni and Pain are checked off on the thing too, on the box. This is gonna be interesting to see how this bot works with like one wedge and a big spinner. It's a cool looking bot. Baby, coming down to the Riptide. Yep, these guys. Like a 6-2 lifetime record at their debut. It's like the big three of the debuters in Season 6 were Blip, Glitch, and Riptide. This thing won both of its Vengeance to Vegas fights. First one against Bloodsport, second one against Jackpot, and it's just had a really good run. Only got beaten by Defender in the regular season, and then made it all the way to the top 8, only to lose out to Sawblaze, but that's because it's Sawblaze. Yeah, like Riptide, the deadly tenacious spinner, doesn't have its forks in this image. Definitely another A tier bot. Oh god, goodness, it's starting to fall off the page. These images are bigger than I thought they would be. Rotator! You know him. My favorite bot. I can't say that it's S tier, of course, because it still had somewhat of a tough journey throughout Season 6, admittedly. It's definitely adapted throughout the years. Defensive backside, offensive front side. Unfortunately, its 2 losses were pretty huge. It did its best to try and stand up against Tantrum, but just couldn't get the low ground. it was able to take advantage of the fact that Tantrum was stuck for a bit, but then Tantrum got loose and threw Rotator out of the arena. And then, of course, the fight with Glitch, where I guess Victor Soto underestimated how dangerous that drum spinner was, because he ended up driving right into it and it just obliterated Rotator. Yeah, I feel so bad for being so cocky about thinking Rotator was definitely going to win, but what are you going to do? I still think Rotator is A tier. It did have a pretty tough fight against Black Dragon, but it came out on top, caused some major damage against Kraken, and took Captain Shrederator down with no issue. And won the bounty against Bronco. That's still pretty recent. There's a reason why it was the gatekeeper in the third Sin City Slugfest, because it is still an A tier bot. Now I got a bit of a hot take prediction here, because I've noticed a pattern. Basically, in the past 2 seasons, whoever has beaten Rotator in the top 16 ends up winning the Giant Nut. Endgame beat Rotator in Season 5 in the top 16, and they made it to the Giant Nut. Then Tantrum did the same in Season 6 and won the Giant Nut. So my prediction is, whoever takes out Rotator in the top 16 in Season 7 is basically guaranteed to win the Giant Nut, unless Rotator beats them in the top 16. Then it's Rotator's year. Rotator gets the Giant Nut. GG. Next up is Rusty. Rusty's looking a little different here, but then again, there was a different image of Rusty in the Season 6 images, and... oh, wait, Rusty Jr.! Rusty Jr.? So this is a new this is a new Rusty. Okay, so then I have to put it in C tier now, because it's a new Rusty, even though its design is exactly the same. You know what, maybe I should still rank this as D tier. Even though this is technically a new bot, it's still overall the same design. Yeah, David Eaton's still got a fairly charming bot, but let me remind me of its record again. Yeah, no wins, but that's because it was up against Blip and Witch Doctor, which are really good bots. The only wins it got under its belt are against Kraken and Sporkanock. Gonna have to put Rusty Jr. in D tier, even though... I'm sorry, Deb. I know you love this bot so much, but... Sawblaze is back. No surprise. Won the Founders Award. It's one of the best out there. Unfortunately, it couldn't win against Endgame and Witch Doctor last year, but honestly, it is an amazing bot regardless. Amazing control. Jameson Yo is an incredible builder and driver. This thing knows how to ground game, use the hazards in the battle box, and just nearly had a flawless record last season. It just couldn't stand up to Endgame and Witch Doctor, which are other S tier bots, but it's still amazing. I honestly want to see it face Hydra, because both of them are just so good at low ground. And I think I mentioned this in one of my shorts. Like, it would be great to see these two go up against each other, just to see who can really master the ground game. After years of Sawblaze being in A tier, I think it finally should be an S tier. It honestly is one of the best out there. Next up is Shatter. So it does look like Shatter is still in this competition. They've just got another bot under their same robot company that's going to be participating. It's still a solid hammer bot, of course. It just is going to struggle against really powerful weapons. And that's what we saw last year. It was able to best both Blacksmith and Sub-Zero in the regular season. Unfortunately couldn't stand up to Riptide. Then came back in the Sin City Slugfest. Easily took down Pain Train. Surprised I haven't seen Pain Train, even though I did just watch the trailer and Pain Train showed up right at the beginning. But then Shatter went up against Deep 6 and got destroyed. But I still think that Shatter is a competent hammer bot. A unique one, of course. It's got the omnidirectional wheels, which means it maneuvers much differently from other bots. I'd say Shatter B tier. B tier is definitely a fitting place for Shatter to be. Shreddit Bro. Okay, here we go. Here we go. So the team that made Pain Train have decided to retire it and move on to Shreddit Bro. Looks like a brand new drum spinner from the same team. Evan Arias is the captain behind this, right? Yep, that's him right there. Hopefully you have a better bot here. I'm just going to put that up front. It looks like a better drum spinner. More along the lines of something like Copperhead or Yeti. I guess the thick wheels might be a problem. Doesn't have low ground, but since it is a fresh bot, I'll put it in C tier. I'm hoping this is better than Pain Train, because Pain Train, I'm not going to lie, Pain Train was just bad. Skorpios. Looks like they got new uniforms this year. Kind of got that scaly look to the uniforms, which is interesting to see. And wow, they really changed the weapon here. Of course, they still got the plow wedge, which is very important. You're not Skorpios unless you have the plow wedge. But yeah, that's a big axe with a nice cover to it. Yeah, so this will be interesting to see. You know, Skorpios, I still think is a really good bot. One of the only gatekeepers to make it through the Sin City Slugfest. It did have a tough regular season, but that's mainly because it went up against some really tough bots. Like Whiplash and Yeti, it unfortunately lost to, but it made it the distance and got a split decision. So it really tried its best in those fights. And it's still the ultimate horizontal spinner counter. He's able to easily take down Blade and Malice, and now Bloodsport. Fortunately couldn't stand up against HyperShock when it entered into the field of champions, but yeah. Gotta still give a lot of respect to Zachary Lytle and Diana Tarleson. They've got a very solid bot here. Still worth the A tier. Slammo. Slammo is back. Just nice to see. This is a weird design though. It seems to change its design every year. I mean, it still technically has the lifter design. I feel like I might have to put it in the C tier just because of this. Because yeah, this looks like such a totally different design. It doesn't even look like those nests or those do. Yeah, this is a weird one. I think I'm gonna have to put this in C tier because this, although like Slammo does not have the best reputation, I probably would have put it in D tier if it didn't have this redesign. I didn't win once last year, and its wins in 2020 they were against Pain Train and War Z. Hopefully this new redesign will actually help Slammo. I'm not sure what it's gonna do, but yeah, it's really interesting to see that. Starchild. I think that's Brandon Solinsky from P1 in the background, so I'm guessing this is a new bot from his team? It's going with the big wheels, kind of like huge. This might actually be Tigris now that I think about it. Look, that looks like a really weird bot. Yeah, this one's gonna be this one's bizarre, man. C tier, of course, because it's a new bot, but yeah, like, is that the spinner on top? I still don't know 100% what this bot does, even with just these first looks at it. Thwack bot. Okay, I have no idea even what that means, so, like, it'll be interesting to see what Brandon Zielinski's new brainchild's gonna do. Switchback is making a return. I mean, Switchback was a decent rookie last year. Didn't have the best record per se. Looks like they are sticking with the swivel arm design. Possibly a new drum, and it looks like they installed forks for some low ground. That might be an interesting thing to use. They protected the wheels. Looks fairly different from it did last year. I mean, it was a solid rookie last year. I think its wins were fairly low profile though. Like, it lost to Gruff and Huge in the regular season, and I think it won against Slammo. That would make sense. And then, of course, in Sin City Slugfest, won against Lucky very easily, but then lost to Blacksmith. Blacksmith's not in this year, I just realized. That's disappointing. I wanted to see Blacksmith, continue to use its weapon and all that. Yeah, Switchback, I think, should still be in the C tier, because I still need to see more from it, I think. Next up, we got the champs from last year, Tantrum. Yep, looks like, we still got Eric's Grant and Ginger Schmidt running the team. Yeah. You gotta love when they put on those awesome fists. It seems reasonable team's got some really good bots up their sleeve, and Tantrum, I thought it was overrated, but it blew my expectations last season, and now I'm a big believer in it. It had a undefeated regular season, even up to the championship. Sure, it had some pretty tough bouts, Yes, it may have gotten a bit lucky with its fight against Lucky, and the fight against Hydra was kind of controversial, but then it continued to prove itself in the Field of Champions, where it took down Tombstone, finally getting its revenge, and then even when it lost to Endgame, it kept running. Its Self-Rider did not shut out, and it was even causing resistance against Endgame. They had to shut down their weapon a bit just to keep it from shutting down because Tantrum was just too much for it to handle. So yeah, no brainer, S tier. Terror Tops. Okay, this one's gonna be interesting. It looks like a new lifter bot. I like the bone designs in the armor. It was pretty interesting. Oh, and it has a spinner too. Kind of like the way Big Dill has it now. So it'll be interesting to see how that works. You know, have a lifter and a spinner in its design. That's going to be pretty interesting to see. Triton. Okay, so is this the successor to Tombstone? Because yeah, this looks a lot like Tombstone. It's like it's like if Deep Six and Tombstone had a baby. I think that this is what I'm thinking of right here, Triton. That's what it looks like, is the love child of Deep Six and Tombstone. Who's the guy behind it? Bradley Hanstead. I have no idea who he is, but yeah, this is looking to be a pretty interesting bot already. If it's got like the big bar of Deep Six combined with the design of Tombstone. Jeez, this is going to be... We're having a really interesting pool of newcomers here. Honestly, I'm quite impressed. But, Tombstone's not in this year. That's a shame. Tombstone's not in! Tombstone's not in! Why is that? That's... it's kind of sad, honestly. I wanted to kind of dump on Tombstone this year, but I guess... You know, Ray Billings decided he needs to take a break. You know, he's taking too many L's, man. Well, hopefully, you know, Tombstone comes back and better next season. Who knows? But in the meantime, Valkyrie. Is this a new captain? Where's Leanne Cushing? Where's Leanne Cushing? Where did she go? We got a new captain for Valkyrie this year? What's going on? Lucy Dew. So Lucy Dew has taken over for Valkyrie, and it looks like she's created a pretty cool design already for its armor. The armor layout is basically the same, and it's still got the undercutted weapon. But yeah, Valkyrie's looking sick. Kind of looking like Holly. Toa Nika Holly over here. As you can see, I got Toa Holly right here. You can see the melding in her pieces. The blue and white, kind of like what Valkyrie has. By the way, just to confirm, I've got that Toa and Nika review. I've got all 6 of them right here, and so yeah, it'll be interesting to once I get around to that. But yeah, Valkyrie, I would still say is B tier, even though it had some tough bouts. Unfortunately, it had a disappointing loss to P1. Was able to take down 2 rookies easily. Unfortunately, couldn't really do anything against Blip. But then came back in the Sin City Slugfest, took down Smee pretty easily, and unfortunately couldn't stand up against HyperShock, but I'm not going to give that too much credit since HyperShock is just a deadly robot in general. And then in Vengeance to Vegas, it took down Blade, another horizontal spinner. So yeah, I still have a lot of respect for Valkyrie. I do think weapon durability issues have been put to rest now. I still think it just holds B tier. Now I want to see that Rotator rematch, now that I can't get Valkyrie versus Tombstone, but hopefully, you know, it will happen. We'll see a Valkyrie versus Rotator rematch. You know, that's going to be epic. The first fight they had against each other was really awesome, so yeah, definitely going to look forward to that. I really do hope Lucy Dew does a great job of being the new captain for this team. Now, for these last 2, I don't think I really have to say much because I think you already know my feelings on these bots and where I'm going to rank them in this tier list, but I'm going to mention them anyways. Whiplash. Did they put the spinner back in, or is that literally just for show? They put wedges on the lifter. That's so nuts. But yeah, Whiplash, one of the best control bots out there. Had an undefeated regular season against 2 pretty tough bots. Made it to the top 16, unfortunately lost out to Cobalt. and did a really good job in the Sin City Slugfest, but just couldn't quite make it against Witch Doctor. Vasquez family, one of the most prominent bot building families in the business. Best control bot out there. Manny Vasquez, one of the best drivers in the business. S tier, no doubt. And of course, Witch Doctor, one of the best vertical spinners out there, hands down. They had a big glow up in 2019 and kept it ever since, even with the rough season they had in 2020. Andrea and Mike Galately, the power couple, great builders, great driver. Mike Galately is one of the most powerful vertical spinners out there. Only lost to Endgame in the regular season, lost again to Endgame in the Field of Champions, and couldn't beat Tantrum to win the Giant Nut, but yeah, they're still amazing. We have to put them in S tier. Wow. There are no F tier bots. I'm struggling to believe it myself. There's no F tier bots. All the bots are kind of sucky or better. This is how hype this season's gonna be now. I'm even more hyped just because I know all the bots are at least gonna give us somewhat of a good show. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I am really hyped for this season, honestly. I cannot wait to get this going. Thursday, January 5th, I'm not even gonna let my dad DVR it. We're gonna watch it right away. It is gonna be a really hype season. We've got some really awesome bots returning too. Like, DeathRoll's finally gonna give some competition to bots like Endgame. We've got Monsoon and Quantum coming back from Britain. The 3 big debuting bots from Season 6 are still in. And even some of the design changes I've seen on some of these C-tier bots look interesting. Like the new spinner on Big Dill. The new way this lifter's gonna work on free shipping. Although I think the one that I'm probably gonna be the most interested in is Horizon. This whole spinning arm with 2 weapons, that's gonna be a very interesting weapon design to see in action. But yeah, that is my tier list. I hope you're just as excited for Season 7 as I am. I'm definitely going to cover this as much as possible, either through BattleBots shorts or weekly updates. Who knows? I definitely do plan to possibly dive into the history of some of our BattleBots competitors in the future. And in terms of Bionicle content, I've also got a countdown coming your way, as well as a review of the Toa and Nika. I've got all 6 of them standing right behind me here. I just showed you Holly, but those are all of them. You'll get to see a review on those guys, hopefully soon, but only time will tell. Thanks again for watching this tier list, and I'll see you later.